I am not a schizophrenic. I'm not a schizophrenic crack smoking Santa Claus who kidnaps children in my real life.
His baby caught on fire or something? And
yeah, where's the story with that? Does anyone remember the sentence? Like, general story is just live your life. He wanted Thanos dead by the end of the series because there were so many freaking movies about Thanos and the sidelines of Thanos and the multiverses. And it's like, okay, hurry up and kill this guy. You know what I mean?
Welcome back, everybody. This is RPG, and we are just a couple of really passionate geeks here. I am Kiwi, and with me, as always, is Justin and John. And if you made it past third grade, you can probably tell there's 4 of us here today. I'd like to introduce Joseph Reitman. He's going to be our guest today. Hi. And I just want to jump in real quick and say, since I'm bringing the theme for today, I am heated because I just finished the new Halo series. The finale was last night for season 2. And today's theme is adaptations. Adaptations in every direction, right? Comics to movie, games to TV, any type of adaptation. And there's a lot of recent ones that I feel like have been bombing. And Joe was actually a part of the adaptation of Happy, which was from originally a comic book into a very successful sci-fi TV show not too long ago. So I figured it was very appropriate to have him here with us.
Yeah, pretty successful. If it was very successful, we'd still be on the air, you know.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. That's very true. Huh? Hey, I personally liked it. I loved it, and I thought your role was great.
I mean, we lost good movies.
It was my favorite show. My favorite show.
Yeah, but no bias at all, right?
No bias.
So, no bias. I don't know if you guys had a chance to finish actually the Halo series that I was just referencing to, but I've been talking to you guys for the last couple of days, telling you I was coming in hot, and it rubbed me the wrong way for 2 whole seasons.
Whoa. Like, rubbed you the wrong way, like you just didn't like the content, or the adaptation itself was bad?
I struggled to make it through every single episode. I mean, as just a diehard Halo fan, the content, the acting, nothing against the actors, right? They're following a script. They're doing their job. They're doing it very well. But I just think the production itself was just not what I think any of us wanted from it. You could literally just remake any chapter of the Halo games or miniseries, and it would have been 10 times better than what they pumped out for us. And the internet might hate me, but that's just my opinion.
No, that's sad to hear. I didn't get a chance to keep up with the Halo series, but I definitely saw the reviews, and the reviews were.
But here's the thing, Justin. If you say the fact that you didn't keep up with it was a choice, right? So that's what I always find interesting, because like if you loved it, you would have watched the whole thing.
True.
Yeah.
So I watched the first season, Kiwi, and I liked it. I liked it. I didn't. Some shows you just kind of slog through it, but I thought that the sort of like spoiler alert for anybody. Like, if anybody doesn't think this is going to be full of spoiler alerts, when we're talking about adaptations, like, here you go. Here's your disclosure. It's happening. Or disclaimer, that is. Yeah, I thought the first season was pretty solid. I thought the graphical expression was pretty good. Of course, there's the music. This sort of like internal conflict of the evolution of Master Chief. Like, I thought it was pretty well done. I haven't seen the second season yet. Do you feel like the first season was better than the second season?
Actually, I feel like they got it a little better in the second season. I feel like they developed the characters a little bit and actually maybe stuck to a little bit more of the traditional lore. But I just think in general, yeah, the character development in that first season and the introduction of these new characters, I totally get it could be for an audience that doesn't necessarily know jack about Halo, right? But even from a standpoint of trying to be third party, it just didn't vibe with me. I mean, I know I'm not alone, and I know some people liked it, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. I don't know. I saw Unto Dawn. I saw the Reach, like the miniseries they had, right? And
The Last of Us.
I thought those were 10 times better and lower production value even.
I think The Last of Us and Arcane are like the top.
Oh, man.
Top tier that everyone's trying to strive for,
yes.
Especially Arcane. Arcane was my favorite from Netflix, even though it was animated, but usually when they do the adaptations, it can be hit or miss. And with the animated Arcane, I still say, I mean, it won a lot of awards. So of course, I'm not the only one, but you know, that was like pure gold. I mean, first of all, the storyline was just great. I mean, I think you can do that with any game. Pretty much every game out there that sells a lot has a great storyline, somewhat. But yeah, Arcane was just beautiful. For me, it was beautiful.
When I know Arcane pioneered kind of that style, right? Weren't they the first ones to do that sort of 2-dimensional on top of the 3-dimensional art style?
Yeah, it was a different art style for sure.
Cell shading.
Yeah, the cell shading on top. I mean, that was beautiful. And the action, like the heavy hits, it just really stuck to it. I loved it.
You know, Kiwi, you bringing up the graphics or like the art style, I think is important because we went through a real rough 20 years of adaptations or so. Like, does anybody remember like Catwoman, Halle Berry's defining moment, or the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie, John Leguizamo's like the pinnacle? But wait, and then M. Night Shyamalan's career-ending The Last Airbender. Like that, there was a period where there was no good adaptation, and all of a sudden, we kind of found our feet a little bit. I think Avengers, maybe like Iron Man, Favreau, maybe is why.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was the turning point? Was there a turning point?
I mean, the Super Mario's movie, I think is up for debate. Some people loved it. You know,
Wonderfully
some
bad.
people actually loved it. It was like a cult.
Bad.
You know what I mean? They loved John Leguizamo, and they loved like the Goombas with actually the small heads and the big bodysuits. You know, some people loved it.
You know, I read something, or I saw a video somewhere that movie, as terrible as it was, what was it? It was the first movie ever in some capacity. I don't quote me on it, to use some type of like VFX in the movie, and they pioneered some type of VFX. I'm gonna have to do some research,
Really?
but yeah, if you go, like some of the other channels, Corridor Crew, they're great guys. They go through this and break it down, but it became the cult classic, right? I don't know about at the time if it was much good. It became the cult classic. What do you think of your own the Happy series? How do you feel about it, man?
I thought Happy was great. I mean, I personally, I was a fan of the comic before I even saw it. And when I heard that Grant Morrison and Brian Taylor were going to do it, I wrote to Brian. I'm like, that sounds awesome. It's weird because he actually called me and said, I have an idea. I think like you should be Santa. And I was like, you're out of your mind, really? That'd be amazing. And so I started trying to, in the comic, if you've read the comic, that Santa is like scrawny and looks like a heroin addict kind of, in the first issue. And I started trying to lose a lot of weight, and I sent him a picture of me at the gym saying, trying to get shredded to play Santa. And he's like, no, I want you big. And I went, okay. And I put the weights down and went right to Ben and Jerry's and got like a giant sundae and just kind of like started eating. And I put on like 40 pounds to play. Yeah. I just pasta, pizza, bagels, donuts, and like ice cream for like 4 months, and powerlifting, lots of protein. And I did. I put on like 40 pounds to play Santa, which was different than the comic. But I thought Maloney was great. I thought Patton Oswalt was a great choice. I thought they really were true to like, the animation of Happy. I thought they did a great job of all that stuff. First season, really followed the arc of the comics, which was really great. And then the second season, they tried to elevate the bar, and they kind of went crazy. Like, I don't know, like if you watch the second season, but the second season of Happy is just crazy. Like, they just took it in a whole different direction. And I'm not so sure, audiences knew what to do with it. I just didn't think they knew what to do with it. They had ideas. I loved what they wanted to do for season 3 too, but it's like, we'll never see it. So it's sad.
Oh, there was plans for season 3, huh?
Well, 2 seasons is good.
I mean, sure. 2 seasons is good. I was, spoiler alert, I die at the end of the first season, but it's like, cause it's Christmas, then Easter, and then there was talk about doing a Halloween season. That's what they're going to do. And that would have been, I know that would have been.
Oh, that would have been killer. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of your own version of it, right? I mean, did you really have to get, besides, don't get me wrong, the character and what he was doing is not you. but the
No,
personality style, I
I
think you
am
brought
not.
a lot to it.
I am not as schizophrenic. I'm not a schizophrenic crack smoking Santa Claus who kidnaps children in my
Yeah.
real life. Uh, uh, but there were, well, I mean, different actors operate different ways. I tend to try to find things inside myself. The thing about, like the Santa for me is like, every role that I play, I try to bring some of myself into the role. So like, there's always got to be a little bit of me that I can kind of like latch onto to kind of like really create stuff. But I sat there, but like in the pilot, there weren't any lines. Like it was just character development. So like to work on that, I had to find the voice of the character before I could find the physicality, knowing that there'd be dialogue later. And so like working on kind of like his laugh, his ho 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 the way I thought it should be, which I did, which was like more of a giggle. I did a ton of work. In my apartment, I went out and begged on the streets of New York for a day as a homeless guy to kind of like feel like I was invisible.
Damn.
I did that for a day. And then in my
Wow.
apartment,
That's it.
I hung Christmas lights. Yeah, I hung up Christmas lights all over my apartment they gave me in New York, and I played Christmas music like 6 hours a day, just in my
Did
headphones all
you
day long, and listened to Christmas
did you
music.
wear the coat with all the crap all over it? Do you wear that around all
So
day?
I was there. I was there a week early, and I was like, "Can I start wearing the coat?" And they're like, "Why? You're not shooting for a week." I'm like, "Because this coat's 40 pounds, and I need to act like I'm in it every day. Like I have to get used to it." It was a heavy, heavy coat. And so like, and I'm like, I need to do stunts in this thing. I need to try to run in this thing. I need to throw punches in this thing. So it was really, I did get it early, and I went to set on 2 days I wasn't working and just wore the coat and walked around all day and just kind of like got used to being in the coat. That was kind of part of it too.
Oh,
And I had pictures of Chris Maloney around my apartment that I'd painted like his face green so he looked like the Grinch. And I had like, pictures of, I had pictures of him as the Grinch all over my apartment. I kind of like, I really tried to dive into all the weird stuff that I could do, which I always do for every role. But like for this one, I was like, he's got to be a monster. Like, and I think Maloney's a really good actor. And the last thing I was going to do is show up unprepared because I think I think he is a real, like, hardcore dude. So it's like, and I know that he wouldn't put up with it. So I had to be prepared for that. I had to be prepared for that, like Tyson getting ready for Jake Paul. That's how I had to get prepared for that.
all Tyson got to do is
Nice.
wake up in the morning and be ready for that.
Oh, I hope he crushes him so much.
Oh yeah.
I'm not putting too much weight on it. I'm just like, okay, if Tyson loses, he would say it's an exposition fight. Doesn't really count.
Yeah.
He's like, oh no, I made $1 million. Oh
Exactly.
no.
$1 million. He made $1 million
Tyson,
just for
20 million.
showing up. Yeah.
Yeah,
20 million.
He
He's
took
getting paid.
$1 million.
He's getting paid 20.
Damn.
Yeah, give me that paycheck.
Pays for a lot of face tattoo removal.
Give me that paycheck.
Oh shit! So I think really kind of one of the first things I was going to lean into, right, is just good or bad, right? What was your favorite probably, and then one of the ones, obviously, mine's Halo. One of your least favorite adaptations, and I mean going in either direction, right, from TV to game to movie, comic to right. Maybe Justin, let's start with you, bro.
I mean, did you guys see in the news that they're trying to do a Sims movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie, right?
She might be a producer. I don't know if they're going to
Yeah.
they're going to star her in it, but if they do it the same type of style as the Barbie movie, I think it's going to do great. Because the Sims movie, I mean, the Sims game in general is kind of outlandish in itself, where you're speaking Simlish, and so I don't even know how they're going to do that, how they're going to do the Simlish, because there's absolutely no English language in that game. It is all Simlish, and it's a kid's game. Well, teenager game, right? It's a teenager game. Of course, adults can play it too, but it's meant for a certain type of genre, just like the Barbie movie was meant for a certain type of genre. And I loved how they brought in Ken, the Kenergy. That part made it worthwhile for me going to the movies with my wife and watching the movie, just watching the millions of Kens. But what do you guys think about the Sims movie? Do you think that's going to be like? I'm kind of up in the air with that.
I mean, I bet you will be a similar scenario with the Barbie movie where Margot Robbie is like, all right, I'll be involved, and then eventually ends up starring in it because they realize that will make many, many millions more dollars. I'm here for it. Like, I'm 100% here for it just because it's so weird. Like, I am that IP customer that's like, whatever, sure, all right, like it's probably going to be terrible, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think
I would
I
not
could
see it in a
definitely
million years. I
see
would not
some
see it.
the Sims movie. I see a free guy like right with
Yeah,
yeah, but more just about his
Ryan
day-to-day
Reynolds.
life. Like, right? I don't know. Like his baby caught on fire or something and he's
Yeah,
got to go
where's
put
the
it out.
story
Like I
with
don't
that? Does anyone remember the Sims general story? It's just to live your life.
Is there one?
I don't
It
think
has
there
to be
is
the
a
free guy
story.
scenario.
No. Maybe it's built around like the player, like somebody's playing a Sims game. Yeah, and to your point, Kiwi, it's like that person's relationship. What if it's like the B movie and they fall in love with the Sim?
Oh, that'd be terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see where Joe's coming from. I got to see a trailer. I got to know more about what it is, right? I mean, from just hearing about Sims, I just couldn't imagine watching somebody, I don't know, building a house and going to work and
I mean, I'm older than all of you guys, so I never played The Sims. So like, this movie will never be seen by me. Like, I'm just like, besides, it makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
And I did not like the Barbie movie either. I know I'm against like,
it's a 50-50, right? I didn't like the Barbie movie as far as an entertainment standpoint, but I did like the way they did it, right? Like it was like a doll, like when she was just floating everywhere and everything was plastic and oversized and right. I like that they stuck to the aesthetic of it, but yeah, entertainment wise, it wasn't.
Yeah, they didn't take themselves seriously. Like if they totally did a serious Barbie movie, that would totally blow. But they made fun of themselves. That was like pretty much like Ken. Again, going back to Ken. Ken just made fun of himself so much. And it's just like, okay. But I get it too. There are some parts on there where they could have laid low, definitely on like the political side. But as far as the general IP of it, I think that was the only way to go, is to make it. Speaking of fun, I mean, so my other big one that I'm looking forward to is, of course, Jack Black with Jason Mambo. How do you say his last name? Jason Momoa. Jack Black, Stifler's mom.
What movie is this? What are you talking about? What have I not seen?
American Pie.
No, this is Minecraft. This is another movie that. How can you make a movie into this when the premise of the game is you're out there
mindless,
mindless thing, right? You're digging up diamonds and you have a cow farm.
When you said Jack Black, the first thing I thought of was the new Borderlands coming out.
Oh yeah, that one's coming up too.
Yeah, and he's just claptrap in that one.
Yeah,
that's it.
I think honestly, my theory is you touched on why these things are going to be successful, and that's the fact that we're talking about it right now, saying, what the heck are they going to do? Like, how are they going to do this? That curiosity, I believe, is enough to fuel the success. Like, I love Borderlands. Like, I can't wait for that. Yeah. Like, that is going to be so already. It's so irreverent and ridiculous and insane.
Yeah, I don't know about the casting, but I cannot wait.
I mean, you got Kevin Hart. He's my favorite comedian.
Yeah, what's wrong with the casting?
I don't know, man. Is
it because The Rock's not in it? Like. There's only so much money in the world.
Well, okay, yeah. No, you don't need some AAA names, but I don't know. It just seemed like there would have been some better fits. But don't get me wrong, they're great actors and actresses. I am looking forward to it. I'm not shitting on it in any way because I am dying to see this movie. Borderlands, I've played every single one. Handsome Jack doesn't necessarily look like himself, right? I mean, some of the main characters are a little off, but it's interpretation, right? So I'm still fucking stoked for it. I'm not gonna discredit it one way or the other. And I mean, yeah, I'm excited about it.
Coming out during my birthday month in August. That one's the closest one that's being released. Is the
Joe? Joe, are you much of a gamer?
Like I didn't open the last Halo. I have it on my shelf. I still haven't even opened it, but I used to play a lot of Halo. I played a lot of Madden. But it just, Last of Us, I think was one of the last games I played. I just don't, my life has moved on to a place where I just can't carve out the time to play video games as much as I used to,
Fair enough. I mean, did you see The Last of Us, the TV series?
I mean, I thought it was, talking about favorite or worst adaptations, I think it's an incredible adaptation. I think they really expanded on characters that they didn't need to and made incredible stories out of them. That third episode, is unbelievable. obviously. One of the best episodes of TV, I think, in the last 10 years. I thought that episode was really incredible and kind of veered away from the story in a way that was unpredictable and unique. And I really thought it was gold, And I thought they did that for the whole show. I can't wait to see what else they're going to do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Taking one Easter egg letter from the game, right? A note that somebody left behind and expanding on that for a full episode.
I
mean,
bravo
to them.
Not only just doing that, but doing it in a way that was really epic. Like, they didn't leave anything, they didn't leave one heartstring unpulled. I sat there being like, oh my God, such a beautiful love letter of a television, and I really thought that was great. I really did.
The Last of Us stayed very true to the characters, the story, the plot. They went off on some tangents, but it's like they kept the foundation of what it really was, where, I think some other people might have failed. But Last of Us,
part of it too is like,
please
not only
give me that
did
next
they stay
season.
True to the
I can't wait.
But they also didn't do anything like predictable. There were no tropes that you knew were coming either. Like, they kept you surprised. Even somebody who knows of the game, you were constantly like, oh wow, like they really did something interesting. They didn't just try to carbon copy things. They did something shot for shot. But I thought in general they over delivered opposed to trying to match things. They really accelerated and expanded the universe, and nothing felt two dimensional to me, which was really the most impressive thing about it. That's the biggest problem, I think, with adaptations of games a lot of the time, is they try to, match the game, but you need to excel. You need to go beyond the game. You really need to go beyond. And I thought they did. I thought they really did.
It's funny. Out of all of the things I was thinking of, Last of Us didn't even come to mind, but you're right. That was by far one of the best ones. So, all right, John, we haven't heard from you. What do you got?
So this is a high and low, right?
Yeah.
We already talked about a couple of those, but I would say that my high is 300.
Oh,
I feel like there was this. Remember Frank Miller 300? Yet Sin City 300 came out. Then there was like a sequel to Sin City. Hey, okay, this guy.
I'm on it.
Yeah. So you had Watchmen, you had Sin City, you had 300. And unfortunately, you had the follow-ups to 300 and Sin City, both of which were. Can we just agree to forget those happened?
The sequels, right? The second.
Just brutal. But for my money, 300 to this day is one of the most and I know I'm super lowbrow for this, and I don't mind being the Pabst Blue Ribbon of nerds on this thing, because for my money, Gerard Butler crushing King Leonidas. That was Michael Fassbender's breakout role.
Oh yeah,
you had just tour de force across the board. Now the low. I grew up on Spider-Man, right? I grew up on Spider-Man. I think I might have learned how to read on Spider-Man and Calvin and Hobbes. Yeah. By the way, if they ever did a Calvin and Hobbes movie, I would like.
Oh yeah, memory unlocked. Calvin and Hobbes.
So that said, the treatment of Carnage.
Oh yes.
So the Maximum Carnage series, which spanned across all the Spider-Mans and brought in Venom and we had everybody, Fantastic Four, most of the Avengers, it was incredible. New York basically got destroyed over the course of the actual Maximum Carnage series. I still have those in thick plastic protectors, but the way that was adapted was just so much less. You almost couldn't make a movie that justified what Carnage really was, which is true, insane, lethal.
I agree with you.
Yep.
Right?
Psychopath.
It wasn't it.
It was like the Phoenix.
And unstoppable. Just the baddest motherfucker in all of Spider-Man.
Yeah. It was like the Phoenix in X-Men, right? Where that Phoenix saga
good example.
was just kind of just dusted under the table. And it's you're supposed to be the most powerful being in the world. And I just remember everyone was scared to death of the Phoenix. And then they made it in the movie within like a 3-minute scene. It was something ridiculously short where they just kind of scared on the table. I was like, whoa, where's the build up? Because the perfect build up is Avengers with Thanos. right? It was just like you wanted Thanos dead by the end of the series because there were so many freaking movies about Thanos and the sidelines of Thanos and the multiverses, and it's like, okay, hurry up and kill this guy, you know what I mean? But that didn't happen with Jean Grey, you know, that didn't happen with the Phoenix.
Yeah, I know. Seth Rogen's picking up the Venom verse. What do you think of that? You heard?
Oh,
yeah, he's going to be expanding, calling it the Venom verse, and going in that direction with the Venom movies. Apparently,
Seth Rogen.
Well, I think John, since you're a Spider-Man fan, I think you can agree with me. The only way to save this to really, in my opinion, is to bring the King of Black. The King in Black is like the Thanos in Marvel. And the King in Black, if you haven't read the series, I won't spoil it, but basically it boils down to no one can destroy the King of Black except for Silver Surfer and Galactus, and you know they go around destroying worlds for fun. And there's a way where Venom becomes the hero. And it's like the Avengers. It leads up to that point where, you know, Venom's like the anti-hero. He's like Deadpool, right? You hate him, you love him.
Yeah.
He does certain bad things. He's not a typical goody, but you know, he'll kill a guy just because. As long as they're bad, he'll kill them and eat them. But the way they did the storyline, where they made King of Black this all-powerful being, you know, created Carnage, created all the symbiotes. He's basically the symbiote king, right? And then for Venom to be like this Deadpool character, the anti-hero, and then making him the hero at the very end, leading up to that point, I think that's the only way to save it. That Venom.
Do you feel like that's what they're building towards, J-Dubs? Do you feel like with the like introduction of the symbiote and like this ongoing evolution of the symbiote situation, do you think that's what they're building
absolutely towards? That's why I bought the King of Black signed comic book, just because I know if they're doing that series, then I'm going to get in early.
Getting ahead of it.
Look at this guy.
It's smart.
We should do a whole episode on like nerd investment strategies, like how to like get collectibles before they double in value.
I mean, you got the Last Ronin coming out, the Last Ronin video game, and the movie coming out, which I still need to get the Last Ronin comic book signed before it goes crazy.
Yeah, that'd be good. You know, another comic that they just nailed, I think, perfectly.
Watchmen?
Yeah.
I mean, I could watch that movie hundreds of times. I mean, it's one of those classic ones where they really did just stick page to page to page, like scene to scene. But, I mean, it was just great. Oh, it was so good. And I'm not going to lie, I've seen it on the shelf a million times, but I never actually read the comic until I saw the movie. I'm guilty, but it made me go read the comic, and I was like, oh, it's the same exact thing, and I love it. I absolutely love it, right? The moral of the story, the way it all comes together at the end, I just think it's so it's just so well done, in my opinion.
You know, for me, this is the thing. It's like talking about like nerd investments. It's so funny because when Happy was made, I bought every variant I could find of episode 2, which had my character on the cover. So I had a dozen, maybe 2 of them. I just bought everything, and I bought all the Happy comics that I could find. I have like 2 issues signed by Grant. I have 1 issue. Can you hear me? I got 1 issue signed by
you. Well, unfortunately, it looks like we just lost Joe. Probably some bad signal. No worries. We are super appreciative to have Joseph Reitman, amazing actor, comic book lover, and apparently not the biggest fan of the Barbie movie. So, what I was going to say for kind of the next little topic here is obviously what our fantasy remake would be, or iteration of something, right? The adaptation. And speaking of comics, mine is a little bit of a deep cut, but have you guys ever read We 3?
No.
Nobody?
No.
Oh, please read We 3. It's a single hard copy run. I mean, it's just like 40 pages. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing big, but just a great visceral story. And the art is very 300, right? Frank Miller. I mean, it is just an amazing comic. I would love to see a mini series. And without going too deep, it's basically about 3 robotically engineered killing machine pets, a dog, a rabbit, and a cat that were escaped the military. And I'll let you read the rest, but
This looks awesome.
heartbreaking story and just great big double page wide illustrations. I would love to see this adapted into a movie, a show, anything, even a sequel comic. I don't care. That would be mine. John, what do you got? What's your dream adaptation?
Oh man, I don't know if I want this or I fear this, but 90s era 16-bit games I feel like are a sort of unmined resource for all this IP. So, one of our last shows I was wearing a Chrono Trigger shirt. I would like to see Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, like with that era, those movies, the movies made from those games could be just so awesome. And
you'd reignite that fan base probably, or create some new ones.
Oh, they've been wanting that game for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
man,
the story, right? For Corner. So you'd beaten the game, right? I'm assuming. Did that blow
yes.
your mind at the very end? Who the actual boss was? Like, I'm not going to spoil it for him because it is that crazy. I was just like, "Are you freaking kidding?" It was like the Matrix for me. It was like I just stepped into this whole different world of, okay, I guess we're that.
Yeah. One thing I hope we never... I wish that we could do like a change.org petition to never remake certain films, like Never-Ending Story. If we can have like a treaty on Falcor, like, leave him alone.
Right.
Like, we don't need it. Like, don't do it,
forgot.
guys. Like, leave that shag carpet, terrible Muppet, the way he was, he's perfect. We don't need the CGI, right?
Yeah.
Even though Appa looks amazing in the new Netflix Avatar, we don't need CGI Falcor.
No, and you know what? It's like a building that gets a historical monument sort of stamp where you're not allowed to tear it down or anything. That's what we need for these originals. Never-Ending Story.
Oh,
as is, never change.
Gosh.
Done. Done.
Oh my gosh! I still want to get like a authentic of the They made like 300 copies of it with the original medallion of it. And I saw one on eBay, and $3,000, and I was like, I'm so tempted to buy it.
Oh man!
I mean, look at Game of Thrones.
They just had
Game of Thrones. They did the same thing. They did like 300 books for their first release, and that sucker.
Here in Vegas, they just had the auction. Different topic, but they just had the auction for that first Action Comics
Superman,
book, right? With Superman holding the car above his head. 3.5 million. Excuse me.
I'm assuming that's for like a 9.0 mint.
Oh yeah, it's slabbed and
because
everything.
you can get a 4.0 for like 15,000.
I could use one of those right here somewhere.
All right. So for me, I would say
we've already got Final Fantasy movies.
No.
Although we don't.
Not Final Fantasy. I'm not going to keep talking about Final Fantasy, but it's going to be a video game as well. A Tony Hawk, the Tony Hawk, skate or die, Thrasher type of game. So I was going to say that. So they have Lords of Dogtown, and Dogtown Z talks about those days of going into people's backyards and the pools and skateboarding, right? And they kind of run away from the law, and they're like these rebels, right? No, that was made in the 60s and 70s. I'm talking about a modern version remake where if you ever played a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game, it is.
Well, if they just had the soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack was there. They had the right skaters. They had the right theme. It was like made more arcade style than realistic style. But they're just tearing it up, man. I mean, those are that. I just remember playing that game and just after high school and just having a good time, just chilling around and just creating your own skate parks and going to iconic places in the world like New York and stuff and skating there.
Well, it's been long enough, Skateboarding hasn't been like a trend in a while, right?
No, they made Skate
they could
3.
do with a comeback. I could see that.
I believe it's Skate 3. That was the last big game, and they stopped, of course, making Tony Hawk. So we are definitely in the need of a good skateboarding.
I could see that.
So you may be interested to know, J-Dubs. So I just threw a quick prompt together and had GPT-4 run some stats and look at what it believes statistically would be the highest performing, basically IP that hasn't already been remade into anything. And Tony Hawk was actually number 4 on their list.
There you go.
Get out of here. What? Give me the top 3.
There you go. What's the top 3?
What does AI think?
Let's go top. So that was number 4. Number 5, Chrono Trigger. So clearly this thing
was listening to you. Yeah.
But check it out. So it suggested an animated TV series with Finn Wolfhard as the voice of primary character, and Marl voiced by Ali Cravalho, which is not an actor. Oh, she was the voice of Moana. Perfect. Okay, number 4, Tony Hawk. Number 3, Elder Scrolls Skyrim TV series. Dragonborn played by Jason Momoa. Oof. Shocker. And Lydia played by Gwendolyn Christie. Oh my God, Lydia! No. What if he just kills her over and she's just like the beating?
I would hate the actor.
Final Fantasy VI and number 1. Oh, Final Fantasy VI. So Tara Branford played by Soraya
Final Fantasy 3 in the US version.
Locke Cole played by Dylan O'Brien. But the number 1, what it thinks would make lots and lots of dollars is The Legend of Zelda,
which they're doing. Cannot wait.
Is it already passed?
There's a rumor. Machine Gun Kelly wants to play Link.
Jake Paul wasn't available? Yeah.
Okay. Let's just remove the hate and the stigma around Machine Gun Kelly. Because first of all, I actually went to his concert. I actually like the dude. But let's just remove that hate, right? Does he look like Link or not?
What, because he's just a skinny white guy? There's a lot of skinny white guys out there.
He's he's lanky. He's tall. He has the blonde hair.
Do you say lanky or linky?
Wait, let me ask you this then. Does Link speak in the games?
Yeah!
So, that's fair.
Yeah, I think, if he wasn't who he is, I think people would accept it.
So, let's do an A/B test, guys. Here, ready? So here's Machine Gun Kelly. And here's who GPT-4 thinks should play Link. T-Shell!
Ooh.
I could see that.
He's trending.
I could see that.
He is definitely trending.
He's even kind of got the face already.
Right?
He has the humor.
Good for you, AI.
Yeah, I think that would be a
good one.
They could definitely make him blonde. Absolutely. He has the build for it. He's a skinny frame, but I don't think he's tall enough. Now, he's not tall, right? In the movie Dune.
I mean, Link's not the tallest character,
Link is
right?
pretty tall.
He's an elf or whatever.
It's hard to even baseline. He's shorter than Zelda, isn't he?
No.
He's shorter than Zelda. He's shorter than Zelda. She's always looking down at him. I don't know.
Speaking of Zelda, here's who GPT-4 thinks should play Zelda.
I was going to say
Florence Pugh.
All right. Well, actually,
what about Ganon?
Okay, so Google is saying that Link is 5'4". He's short. Link is short.
So, continuing on this, who is GPT telling us for Ganon? Because I got to know.
Can it be Channing Tatum?
Okay.
Can it be Channing Tatum?
I would see this. So check this out. Let's run it. Let's run this down. Okay.
And I'm on the edge of my seat, man.
Okay, so here is the complete cast of the proposed Legend of Zelda movie by GPT-4, with a decent amount of prompt massaging here. Link, played by Timothée Chalamet. Zelda, played by Florence Pugh. Ganondorf, played by Dave Bautista.
Ooh, that's so good.
Yes.
That is so good. Yes. From Guardians of the Galaxy. Yes, I could see that.
Impa, Angela Bassett.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Tingle, Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay, Daniel Radcliffe. I was thinking Danny DeVito or something, but like, Tingle. Okay, I mean, basically, Tingle is a short little elf with like a big proboscis, right? Big fat nose, and just the most ridiculous character ever. You could pretty much pick anybody and CGI them into Tingle. So Daniel Radcliffe's as good as anybody else in my book.
The rest of the characters are like kind of lesser known characters and lesser known actors. But now I'm kind of forcing it to cast Navi.
CGI.
Well, that's the voice actor, right?
Yeah.
Tara Strong.
Oh, the voice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The voice. Yep.
The voice of
Wow.
Navi.
Okay.
Okay. Not
Universal.
bad for AI.
Let's go, Universal. Let's get this done.
I'm very curious to see who they play Link. I don't know. For some reason, I just always thought Link was tall. Maybe because he's skinny. I always assume people who are skinny are tall, right? And 5'3". That's still blowing my mind. It's like maybe Machine Gun Kelly won't play.
Yeah. Let's see how big is his sword.
Oh. Hey, how about Metroid with Charlize Theron as
I
Samus?
could see that.
I was going to bring up Metroid because I would love.
But I guarantee you,
Charlize
it would be Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson was my first.
Oh,
That was my
no.
first. I know she's a little overused in these films these days, but I could see that because she's got that kind of badass.
I mean, she played Ghost in the Shell.
demeanor.
And she got heated for that.
Well, for good reason. I mean, now here's the thing, though. Did anybody see Atomic
Yeah.
Blonde?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was a great movie.
That movie, I was so funny. We were just talking about that last night. Charlize Theron in Atomic Blonde, I believe, was one of the best action roles in the last 10 years. I thought she was so good, so believable in like every aspect of her role. I feel like she gets zero street cred for that. Because the physicality of Samus would be so awesome.
It really would, and there's so much story there. I mean, you could go in any direction with that. It's especially like Metroid Prime, right? The GameCube version, that would be a perfect one to pick and just go right off that.
Can she roll into a tiny ball?
Do you guys
That's
remember
important
when the
podcast.
first time you realized that Samus was a female?
I do.
When she took off the helmet.
It was actually,
When she took off the helmet.
even playing the side scrollers and stuff before Smash, it was Smash where I realized that my favorite character to use was a female.
Well, here's the thing. So a lot of us older generations didn't realize, because a lot of the newer generations would be like, well, how can you not tell? Like, well, you played all the new Metroid games, but if you played the original Metroid game, this character was okay. There was no way that you could. I mean, and also in the storyline, no one could remember like anything saying like she must do this or she must do that. It was really a side scroller. Didn't know what the hell you're doing. You're just trying to escape. And there was like no form or mention, that Samus was a girl. And then of course Samus is a name too. That could be both female and male, or however they want to identify it. Yeah.
So this thing, for anybody who hasn't played it, is impossible.
I mean, look at the shoulders on that
the
bad boy.
shoulders,
You're telling
the
me
helmet, the helmet. Like, how can you tell that's a female? Come on, Gen Z. How can you give us crap for not telling that was a female?
I'll give it to the older generations too, right? Us, I'm talking about, because there was no emphasis on that. Nobody gave a shit. It was just a good game with a good character, and
yes, that's why I thought they were so brilliant, because they're like, it's a good way to say like it doesn't matter, and like a female protagonist is as awesome as the male protagonist that you may have assumed this person was. That's pretty. Oh, Paper Mario and Hollow Knight are the next ones that it's suggesting.
Yeah.
I could see
Paper Mario. I mean, they can definitely spin off Mario. Like Luigi's Mansion would be a great Halloween movie.
Oh,
that would be a great Halloween movie.
Oh my god!
So during the movie, the most recent Mario movie, I thought when Luigi went to the Dark World, right? I thought when he was going,
same.
I thought it was going to play off that for a second. I thought it
100% same.
Yeah.
And I was harping on John about Final Fantasy, and I haven't said it yet. I'm still waiting for my Duke Nukem. I'm still waiting for the adaptation.
I mean, they did do a Doom adaptation that was like, what?
Oh.
Okay, at the time, I really liked it. It did not hold up well. It did not hold up.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, every adaptation movie we're going to watch, because we watch every single Fast and the Furious movie, it is the same concept. It's just like, yeah, we love the IP and we're going to watch it no matter what, even if it sucks. Dungeons and Dragons,
Well,
like
I mean,
that was
that-
way off the audience scale, right? Like the audience wanted one thing. They wanted this super realistic Dungeons and Dragons type of, Game of Thrones type of setting. But no, they bring in like this slapstick comedy, like what? Hey, Dungeons and Dragons, like
hey, the most recent Dungeons, the
Right?
most recent D&D is better than the old D&D, the other movie they made, in my opinion.
The new. I forgot about the new one.
Yep, it still had the comedy to it, but
It was pretty good.
better, more watchable. I liked it.
When did that
But
release?
I was looking at my own background.
Oh, 23.
And we cannot talk about the worst adaptations ever without talking about the unspoken, that which we do not speak of, the Dragon Ball movie.
He said Twilight.
Oh God. Oh yeah, Kiwi. Yeah, that's. I feel like we took that nuclear waste of a concept and buried it far out in a desert, like ET cartridges, and collectively just said, okay, right? We didn't do that, right? Nobody saw that. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Because that was oh my God.
We do not mention.
Cloud. Oh,
Awful.
physically hurts.
I just read something actually that Akira Toriyama, after Dragon Ball GT, called it quits. He didn't want to do it anymore. He loved what he made and he wanted to leave it alone. And then that movie came out and he was so enraged he created Super. That's what I've read.
He's like, I have to recover this legacy.
He created Super,
seriously though.
or he might have created GT, right?
No, GT was before the Dragon Ball Night.
Oh, it was before the movie. Okay.
Yeah. That was
Post-Cell.
late 90s or something like that, I think.
I mean, with anime, you gotta be very. You're going to get heat, but I think I said this in the last episode. One Piece was just amazing. I just think that is how you do it. That is how you turn an anime into a good TV series.
It just, it's not my personal favorite, but they did a good job. I'll give it.
I can't wait for season 2. They already have 9 seasons already. It was something ridiculous like that. They had like 7 or 9 seasons already paid for One Piece.
There's enough content.
Yeah,
I think they can do
money.
it.
I mean, Netflix is like, we're losing money, and then One Piece is like, we make $1 billion a day. So how much you need? 2,000. You need 2 million easily. Here you go. I use that to wipe my car with. Here you go.
So, do you guys want to play a game?
I'm in.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit like the entrance to a Saw movie. So I'm just going to throw out names that GPT-4 is suggesting as adaptations that it thinks would be very successful. And give me a 1 to 10 on how good you think it would be.
10 being the best, yeah?
10 being like, we should close this call down right now, call Netflix and pitch them immediately.
And 1 is
one being Dragon Ball. Yeah, exactly. One is Dragon Ball, exactly. Oh, so warm up round, Hollow Knight.
Oh, yeah, 8.
Yeah, 8 or so, for sure, yeah. Definitely.
So animated, I should probably qualify. Animated series, right?
Yeah.
Fire Emblem 3 Houses, TV series, live action.
I just didn't play enough of it to know. I'll sit in the middle with a 5 because I just have heard good things.
So Fire Emblem has a great story. I love it because it's like the Game of Thrones story where it has the houses, and I don't know about you, John. So I've always chose the White Knight. You know what I mean? The blue, usually associated with the color blue for Fire Emblem. It could be good. I would say 9 or 10.
Right?
Like it could be really good if they do it like Game of Thrones.
If they treated it well, so get back D&D. Really want those great writers from Game of Thrones. I would say 100%. I'm with you, 8 or 9. Like if they treated it well, live action, good casting. Okay, Stardew Valley feature film, live action.
I mean, if
Can we get Marie on this call? Can we get Marie?
Stardew Valley it's a cozy game, so you can make it into a cozy movie.
If
it
was
just 2 hours of lo-fi and watching someone physically farm.
I mean, if Disney was in charge of Stardew Valley, sure, go for it.
Yeah,
right?
it'd have to be a funny kids movie. I would definitely take my daughter to see it, 7 or 8. If they did it right and if they added some humor to it, and I could see that working.
So,
Plot twist: Studio Ghibli makes it.
Ooh, definitely 7 or 8 on that scale, because that's going to be that'll be.
But I want to go back. I want to go back to real quick. I want to go back to Fire Emblem, and the reason why I love Fire Emblem is because you. So for you, Kiwi, I'm just trying to explain why I'm so excited about this more than the gameplay. I love the Fire Emblem story because like you have these 3 houses, right? You have the Archer house, you have like the Magic house, and then you have like the Warrior house, right? When you play out through the game, you're playing these teenagers, right? And they're trying to take control. But in the middle, shit gets crazy. Like apocalypse world, like, there's like a greater enemy that comes forward, and like the 3 houses are like fighting each other for power. There's a lot of like backstabbing, and then like one of these dudes loses an eye, and has an eye patch, and he was like this white knight, and then he turns into like this crazy, psychopath, like, I'm gonna kill everyone. It's just so juicy, you know what I mean? And like he's grown up now, and then like the girl who is supposed to be, good as well, she really turns batshit crazy and wants pure power. It just gets fucking crazy. I love, like, there's so many plots and twists and turns that it could be so great.
All right. I will play it. I will go and check it out. You got me. I'll do it. Especially now that they're going to make the movie.
Well, are they going to make the movie?
That sounds like a series.
Hypothetical, right?
That sounds like
okay.
Don't
get me excited.
You got excited.
Don't get me excited.
All right, keep going.
Okay, you guys ready? I've got. You want to do a couple more?
Yeah, we got time for.
Give me like 2 more.
Okay, here. I'm actually going to bring up images now, so we can like really get our heads around this. Okay, here we go. Ooh, hold on. Way too low res. We need good images here. Okay. So first on our potential adaptation list that we'll get a 1 to 10 on is this one. Subnautica.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm thinking Deep Blue. I'm thinking Jaws.
Yeah. Yeah. The Meg.
The Meg. I'm thinking they could do a good story. They could definitely do a good story on the diving part. Like, I don't think there's been there has been deep water movies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
But nothing action related like Subnautica, right? Nothing like there's a story why you're diving. There's in the exploration of the unknown and the monsters that you come across.
If you kept it mysterious and dark and not a horror movie, but like a
thriller.
Right. Something dark. I could see that. I could see it being a little bit of a sci-fi dark drama kind of thing.
What do you think of like Interstellar, but deep water?
Ooh.
You know how they're like losing oxygen, right? And
yep.
Yeah.
I think if they do that type of suspense and thriller, where it's because I was like hyperventilating when I saw Interstellar. I was like, it was like it becomes very silent, right? And you don't hear anything, and you can hear actual how space sounds. And if you play off of those emotions, you can definitely do a good Subnautica game.
So I would say 8 or 9 if it was a deep psychological thriller, like real serious. Take like the abyss is a character, and it is constantly going to kill you. Okay, next one is Dark Souls.
Is this when you start the movie and then you just die and the movie's over? Is that
you immediately die?
Yeah, you can't even get past the ticket person.
Just smack you with a stick and
you keep restarting at the ticket person.
Well, with the success of like the first season of Witcher, this got me. I could see this as a hard 8 at least if they do it the right way. Really,
if they play the right cast. But it's just one of those things. Again,
sure.
It's just one of those games that is going to get a lot of heat if it messes up. If anything is messed up.
Yeah, it's definitely a fan base that hardcore
has feelings,
right? Yeah,
big ones,
really big
feelings.
Yeah.
This would not work, so this is a terrible idea, but I would be interested to see this. Do you remember the movie Edge of Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Die on a loop, right? Like, well, what if it's that, right? Like it's some night that has like a sort of similar energy to it,
That'd be some really deep cut, like, people would go see the movie and say, what the hell's happening here? But the people who have played the game are like, yes, this gets me in the soul.
In your dark soul.
Yeah.
I would give this a 6.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's even if it's done well, huh?
It's just so hard to imagine because the ambiguous character, so any casting that you make is going to be wrong. Like there's so many different configurations. It's such an infinite thing that you're going to have somebody who's going to have an issue with it. Yeah. So yeah, I would say 6.
I agree.
Okay. I'm gonna go off of AI. AI had some winners and some not so much, but if I'm not mistaken, they might already be doing this, or it might have just been some onion news I heard. BioShock. Please and thank you, BioShock.
I've heard. Well, Fallout.
Our second to last one we're proposing.
There we go. I mean, not so much maybe. What was the one in the sky in the clouds called? Infinite. I could see that later on, but I just want the original BioShock. Would you kindly I want that. I want little sisters, big daddies, horror, sci-fi. I want the sounds. I want everything that the first BioShock game offered.
Oh my God. How have we not talked about Resident Evil?
Well, they make.
How is that not once like Mia Jovovich, her, what she's been doing for the last 76 years is making these movies, right?
The first Resident Evil movie just slapped. I mean, that movie was
so good.
And it barely followed a little bit of the story, right? They just put some names and characters in there that you recognize, and the Hive and the Mansion, right? But just way off track, but just hit. That movie
just crushed.
Oh, crushed it. The soundtrack too. Oh man, they don't make movies like that anymore. That was a winner in my book.
I think for me, the best one was Mortal Kombat. When you're dealing with the soundtrack and the first time seeing Sub-Zero versus Scorpion, I mean,
I jumped out of my chair yesterday because it was on TV and my daughter was there, and I was like, "You have to watch this." I just cranked it up to 11 when Sub-Zero and Scorpion come out on the ship.
I mean, it wasn't like heavy CGI because there was a lot of acting, where you actually kickbox someone instead of like behind a green screen. They actually went out to which I thought was really cool. Where they actually went out to like these historical Japanese places, Far East Asia, and like the wood scene, where Scorpion comes out. I was just like, after seeing that movie, everything about that movie as a little kid made you hyped. I mean, the theme song was just amazing. I mean, granted, the new Mortal Kombat remake. Yeah, but again, it wasn't.
Oh man, the first half of it was so good.
Yeah,
and then they just ran out of ideas, and they're like, "Okay, now let's give you arms with weapons. Sure, why not?" I'm like, you had plenty. There's so many characters you could have pulled from. Instead, this is what you do.
I'm hoping that was just setting up the next movie or something.
I mean, granted, it was still good. I still say that the Mortal Kombat remake was watchable for sure, but it wasn't iconic as the MK90.
No,
totally.
You can't. We're getting kind of close to the end here. I'm just going to say my last kind of prompt was, I want to go in the other direction. We're all gamers. What IP do you want to play as a game?
All right. Power Rangers meets Harry Potter Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy, that is.
Open world
Power Rangers. You're leveling up your Zord. You can get together with your 4 other best friends and actually form Megazords and go and do questy stuff. And it has absolutely nothing to do with canon because it's not like Power Rangers was a infinite world of Power Rangers. But why not? Hey, why not?
I think there's enough to be done, right? Hey, the local shopping mall is getting attacked by these putty guys. You got to go clean them up, right? It would be like Assassin's Creed almost, where you got these little mini missions just all over the place.
Yeah, you can do the solo. And if it had the raid energy, you had the solo grind of going out and fighting the putties, and then when it was raid time, you all came together and formed the Megazord.
Oh yeah. That would be pretty. Okay. That'd be pretty cool, actually. I could see that. Mattel or whoever owns it now, there you go.
I think they tried making every single game out there. I mean, for instance, like Suicide Squad,
Right.
and then Avatar.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough when they do the reverse, like Harry Potter. Harry Potter was actually really
It
good.
has to be. Harry Potter was great.
That was great. Guardians of the Galaxy was great as well. I loved it, even though it was a short game, but and it was not very linear. So if you haven't played Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought it was like a beautiful movie masterpiece game where you're just controlling your character just to control it, but then like half of the game is just cinematics and then just following just beautiful clips. So I'm not sure.
So I'll say, originally I was gonna say Starship Troopers, right? It could be a
Helldivers.
badass game, but Helldivers just came out.
It's already taken.
Yep, boom, bing, and it worked.
It worked. Yeah.
So I can't go that route anymore. But speaking of, open worlds and things like that, there's quite a few, but a more linear game I think you could adapt to is something like a John Wick, right?
Yeah.
Something very action shooter. There's straight line kind of game, right? And I could see a very over the top Hitman, maybe even is as far open world as you would go. But I could see something like that being pretty successful. Shooters are always okay in my book.
What if they actually just made Ready Player One?
I was just thinking of that. I was like, how would they do the Oasis?
That would be fantastic, and all these Web3 metaverse games that are trying to do that, but they're still siloed. It's got to be global. It's got to be everybody comes together and just makes one.
It is going to be massive upkeep, right? I mean, first of all, when I think of the Oasis, I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking of World of Warcraft, right? Where you can create any type of style. And then you have like the meta quest where you pull up menus. You can be like, all right, let me take on different quests. But then you also have like the mini game part of it where you do that car racing game where he did it backwards. So it's just like this whole carnival of mini games and RPG. It's just a lot of upkeep.
Yeah, it is. And I'm actually looking right now. I'm cheating. And there's so many they can make good games out of. I mean, I'm just looking right now. If they made a decent, really good Terminator series like they did with Predator, like they did with Alien, that would be successful. A Terminator storyline type of game or Mission Impossible.
If we did a whole episode on arcade games,
Terminator arcade,
arcade games, Terminator 2 is impossible not to talk about that game with the actual one of the first like mounted gun games. GPT-4 again. Here's what it thinks would make the best game adaptations. Number 7, The Night Circus.
Okay.
Interesting enough. Let's just skip to the top 4. Pan's Labyrinth.
Forgot about that movie.
Oh, yeah. The Spanish one, right? Yes.
Weirdly disturbing.
Very.
The Martian. So a survival strategy game where players manage resources, solve problems, and constantly try to not run out of air.
Okay.
Number 2, John Wick. Yeah. So there you go, Kiwi. You're right on it. Number 1, Inception.
Oh,
and that is such a good idea. Like, oh my god, the stuff, the puzzles, and like the weird layered nuance. As if it wasn't confusing enough to watch it when it was written as a story.
That has to be one of those choose your path games for sure, with like 7 or 12 different endings.
It comes with a pack of high potency edibles that you have to take.
No, it comes with the spinner. It comes with the tabletop spinner.
Oh yeah.
Yep. As we prepare to close it down, our next Navi is J Dubs, Justin Williams again. We're gonna see what we get from the next Navi.
Yeah.
Yep. Every week we have a new Navi. If you ever played any Zeldas, you know who that is. And they kind of come in with the topic for that episode, and we have no idea what it is. They just spring it on us, and we go from there. So looking forward to seeing what Justin's got for us.
I got some good ones.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.